So guys, let's discuss Team Italy here in the group stages of the World Baseball Classic. Dominant performance, going 4-0. And I'm just astonished by Fransisco Cervelli and how great of a leader he is, and how this team clearly is already gelled and looks up to him as a leader, and how composed and how involved he is in the games. He's right there looking through the, right there behind the on-deck circle, just with his batters in every at-bat. Right, chirping at his batters, talking to his batters, always engaged with the rest of his coaching staff. Him and his coaching staff are, three abreast, side by side with their notes in front of them the whole game doing work, right? It's an extremely professional, business-like approach by Italy, and it showed in the results that they have. They're an extremely professional team. It's one thing to put together a group of the best professional players from a country. It's another thing to actually have them be a professional team, to have them be a proper professional group. We've seen other teams try to do that in this tournament, and it just not gel, and it just not come together. And I get that Italy has a really high standard, honestly, kind of a deceptively high standard. I mean, you've got Aaron Nola leading the starting rotation. You've got a legitimate Major League power hitter, clearly 3 home run game today, and Vinny Pasquantino. You've got a guy like Adam Ottavino in the bullpen even. So it's not a team I think anybody really had low expectations of, or anybody who knows baseball had low expectations of, but it seems like there are some other teams that underestimated them. I mean, especially the United States seemed guilty of underestimating them. But if there's one thing to be pessimistic about when it comes to Italy in these next stages, it's the fact that, they weren't really facing other teams' best pitchers, and that's about to change. That being said, I think they have a really beneficial matchup against Puerto Rico. I just think that Puerto Rico, they've lost a lot of teams in a lot of their players to insurance issues. They're not playing in front of that home crowd they had in pool play anymore. And Italy, quite frankly, outperformed any team in that pool that was just played in Puerto Rico. Italy played better than any team in that pool played. So I don't know that Puerto Rico played a team as good as Italy, to be honest with you. And I think Italy are honestly particularly well built for tournament play, especially in the sense that their offense is very capable of just scoring a run in a given inning. They're very capable of just manufacturing a run when they need to, and that's extremely important in a tournament like this when it comes to just continuously applying pressure. But when you mix it up with the long ball like they did today, it becomes unstoppable, and you get teams going in 8-0 and 9-0 holes, and that's where it starts to seem like, okay, how far can Italy go in this tournament? Well, after seeing the bracket, in my opinion, unfortunately only the quarterfinal, I think they can beat Puerto Rico. I think a lot of people, even more people, will jump on board the whole bandwagon. I mean, they already beat U.S. and Mexico, but beating U.S., Mexico, and Puerto Rico back to back is going to, take this whole thing to a whole other level, I think, and people will probably start talking about them winning the tournament. After that, it'll probably be Japan. It'll be the winner of Japan-Venezuela, which in all likelihood will be Japan. But to be honest, I think Venezuela have a decent chance at exploiting Italy's weakness as well, which Italy's weakness is their bullpen. We haven't necessarily seen that yet. They were up 8-0 on U.S. and only won 8-6. Aaron Judge got to the plate. That's a good example. Once Nola was out of the game against Mexico, sure, Mexico only scored 1 run, but their offense did pick it up the second that Nola was out of the game. They started getting a lot more base runners. There were a lot more walks. There were a lot more free passes. And I think that against an offense like Japan, or the Dominican Republic or Venezuela or whoever, I think that Italy essentially have a soft underbelly there in the bullpen, and they're going to have to get out to, an even bigger lead on a team like the DR. I don't think they're going to get out to a big lead against a team like Japan or a team like the DR. But that was another great thing about this game, man. Players like Vinny Pasquantino, Aaron Nola out there, basically pitching for 2 countries in the same game, pitching to get the U.S. into the next round, and pitching, obviously, for Italy at the same time. But yeah, when you look back at U.S. versus Italy now, it looks like a battle of the managers, doesn't it? All this criticism towards Mark DeRosa for his handling of that game, whether or not he even knew that the U.S. could still be eliminated, when he made his plan for that 4th game. It certainly did seem like the U.S. basically threw that 4th game. And, I don't know. I feel like teams did underestimate Italy, and they were able to take advantage of that. But U.S. was by far the most guilty. And when I say that by matchup of the managers, I mean, yeah, you saw it. Italy won that game because they had the more competent, the more determined, the more locked-in manager. I mean, Fransisco Cervelli has been the pinnacle of locked-in this entire group stage. The way that he has been in there with his team and engaged with everything has been awesome to see. And it makes me, wish Fransisco Cervelli would get a major league opportunity here, because he's clearly an extremely good manager who's able to make a team come together and have, a team spirit and a group spirit very, very quickly. Because my criticism of this Italian team in the lead up to this tournament was exactly the opposite. I believe that Italy would have a problem having a team spirit, that a lot of these guys were American. They were Italian of heritage, but they're American. They're from the United States. They were raised in the U.S. They're not going to have as much togetherness as these other teams are who, come from Puerto Rico or come from the Dominican Republic, and then they'll have problems because that we've seen none of that at all, right? We've seen none of that at all. We've seen an Italian team that is incredibly unified in their purpose and that has, honestly, a really strong identity already, built around offense, built around strong defense, and that's the thing that Italy have done really, really well. That's impressed me the most is that, the World Baseball Classic, one of the things that makes the World Baseball Classic great is that, yes, it is literally the highest level baseball tournament in the world. It is the real World Series, as it were. But you still see a lot more hit by pitches in the World Baseball Classic. You still see a lot more errors. You still see, clumsy base running mistakes in the World Baseball Classic, despite all of that, because it's still spring training. It's still March. But Fransisco Cervelli has put together a team that seems to make absolutely no mistakes and that just goes out there and executes even at the very hardest ways, right? I mean, like what I said, being that kind of an offense that can just produce a run when needed, that is not easy. Combining that to provide the power, hitting those home runs, punishing those pitchers for the mistakes that they make is also not easy. Your pitchers going deep into games is not easy. Bringing 85-mile-an-hour throwing pitchers from the Italian league out of the bullpen and them actually getting defensive support that they need is not easy. Them also not walking batters that much is also not easy. There's so many things the Italian team is doing that other teams aren't doing. They're not making a lot of those little mistakes that other teams make, and I fully credit that to Fransisco